In the following presentation, we'll be covering how globalisation has impacted Malaysia, its economic and human development, the cultural distance between us and them, and the potential industries for Australia to enter. The last decade has seen a dramatic shift of economic power to the Asian market, with strong demand from its large and rapidly growing consumer base. In light of this, Malaysia is now seen by many as a hub for international business. Its strategic location, business-friendly environment, investor-friendly jurisdiction, and efficient tax planning are highly sought after by those looking to expand globally. A mixture of private enterprise and soundly managed public sector has posted a remarkable average growth in recent years. This growth has resulted in a substantial reduction in poverty and a marked rise in real wages. Malaysia is the fourth largest economy of Southeast Asia, and it continues to perform strongly due to a strong global demand for electronics, increased demand for commodities such as oil and gas, and an improving labour market. Malaysia practices a mixed legal system, which includes the common law, Islamic law, and customary law. These laws have arisen from three significant periods in Malaysian history, dating from the Malacca Sultanate to the spread of Islam to Southeast Asia and following the absorption into the indigenous culture of British colonial rule. Globalisation is a term coined to describe the worldwide phenomenon of integration and interaction that saw the structure of business, communication, technology, and markets integrate into global entities. Since the late 1900s, globalisation has played a significant role in shaping the socio-economic orientation of many countries, and Malaysia is no exception. By joining global value chains, this country has seen technological advancements and higher investment, which has spilled over into faster income growth. But while globalisation has provided significant benefits for Malaysia and its people, there is no hiding that its forces have also brought a number of challenges. The volatile capital flows and increasing reliance on foreign workers and its heightened vulnerability as a result of global developments show Malaysia needs to take steps to future-proof its economy. In the decades just prior to the turn of the century, Malaysia saw significant shifts in its economy thanks to globalisation, moving away from a reliance on agricultural production to an industry and manufacturing-based economy. New technology has opened up the market, allowing for e-commerce and digitisation of cross-border activity, meaning the services and retail sectors are serving bigger markets than ever at quicker and more efficient paces. This more effective use of technology has further created a positive impact on trade and tourism, as marketing tools such as social media and innovations such as e-visas open up Malaysia as a tourist destination. These technological advancements, like many benefits of globalisation, come at a cost. Increased automation and structural changes put employment at risk and require a labour force that can quickly adapt to changing needs. Globalisation and Malaysia's structural reforms see them benefit from enlarged interregional trade, increased consumer spending and investment, and as of 2017, Malaysia has seen its exports grow at the fastest pace since 2004. This also resulted in considerable shifts in Malaysia's export product mix. Its openness to trade has pushed their trade to GDP ratio up to 128%, while the world average is only 88.5%. The main winners of globalisation in Malaysia, however, are those who are highly skilled or own significant amounts of capital, as these sections of the population are able to take full advantage of the larger markets. This being said, there are also benefits for the rest of Malaysia in the form of accelerated foreign investments, which have led to job opportunities, higher wages, and more market access. While this is true though, low-skilled foreign workers are now a factor in Malaysian business, which poses a challenge to management in how to effectively manage these employees. These workers account for 12% of Malaysian workers, and the reliance on them, especially in hard labour industries, have pushed Malaysian workers into remittance, seeing the number of outward workers almost double in between 2008 and 2016. Furthermore, multinationals in Malaysia pay 40% more than local firms do. While Malaysia has taken steps to protect local firms through initiatives called the Service Sector Blueprint and Logistics and the Trade Facilitation Master Plan, further thorough reforms should be made to protect its banking system and create stronger industries and markets. Overall, Malaysia has been a winner in globalisation, and future advances will create an even more globalised and interconnected Malaysia. Clearly, as we've seen with other developed nations, not all aspects of society will benefit from these changes, so mitigating steps should be implemented to save-proof globalisation. But ultimately, while there are clear issues, these are manageable, and the opportunities that globalisation will continue to bring will well outweigh the negatives.
Moving on to the human and economic development. Economic development is a measurement of how a country performs in the economic sector, connected by economic subjects. The infrastructure of Malaysia has become an important role in developing the economy sector of a country, as without capable level of infrastructure, production, specialization, and exchange across global markets seems impossible. The infrastructure facility on national level leads to improvement on aggregated output of Malaysia in rural areas. These areas has recently become the center of attention for the Malaysian government as they introduced the 5-year plans of development from 2015 to 2015. It is mentioned that the productivity of these rural areas in the agriculture sector has escalated constantly over time. Malaysia ranked 29th out of the 144 other countries in terms of development in infrastructure sector, leading to growing interest in foreign companies to invest. Other infrastructure development includes social amenities, utilities, social infrastructure such as hospital and school. Furthermore, oil and gas has become the greatest contributors on Malaysia GDP in 2018 as it generates 40% of the GDP. Malaysia has also ranked 35 in nominal GDP and 25 in purchase power parity in 2018. Malaysia adopted a mixed economic system that ensures capitalism combined with socialism. It is shown that the economy is a newly industrialized market whose GDP increased rapidly in the last few years. Though even the World Bank perspective of Malaysia transitioned from upper middle income economy to higher income economy. Malaysia has a constitutional monarchy and parliamentary democracy. There's a hereditary symbolic head of state that mainly acts as a representative and civic role. The head of state does not have the power to make policy or exercise executive power. Democracy means the political system that governed by the people, exercised directly or through elected representatives. Compared to Australia, in which each of the 6 states have their own constitutions, parliaments, governments, and law. Human development can be described as the process of enlarging people's right of freedom and flexibility to improve well-being, also enhancement of human situation to have a better standard of living, knowledge level, and healthy life. Malaysia has one of the most significant rates of human development index of 0.802 and ranked 58th in the world, which increased over almost 30 years, with a growth level of 24.7%. HDI is measured based on 3 aspects, which are life expectancy at birth, expected years of schooling, and GNI per capita. Compared to Australia, Malaysia still have a lower level of HDI value, as Australia is a developed nation that has a value of 0.939, ranked at number 3 out of 189 countries. Moving on to cultural distance. Hofstad and his cultural dimensions can be used as an effective tool to categorize the cultural difference between Malaysia and Australia. In his attempt to classify the different national cultures, he proposed 4 different value dimensions, with 2 more dimensions added later on. By looking at these different dimensions and classifying the different cultures that exist in each country, it gives us the ability to gain insight into the differences as well as similarities between the countries, painting a clear picture of the cultural distance between them. First, we have power distance. This is how okay people are as a national culture with the fact that there are poorer and richer people coexisting in the same society. Malaysia scores very high on these dimensions, meaning that people accept a hierarchy order in which everyone has a place with no further justification. In the business environment, a strong hierarchy ladder and centralization is common, meaning subordinates expect to be told what to do with little challenges to leadership. Australia, on the other hand, has the lowest score in this dimension. This means they don't quite accept the differences in power in society. They challenge authority, and in the business environment, communication is informal and decentralized. Next, we have individualism, which is essentially the level of interdependence each member maintains in our society. This is the facet that represents the bigger difference in culture between Malaysia and Australia, as the Australian culture tends to promote and encourage people to achieve and focus on individual goals, where Malaysia is a very collective society where everyone takes responsibility for the people they work with and often set and strive to achieve a collective goal, and success are prioritized on achieving this goal. The next facet is uncertainty, which refers to how society are with what they don't know. Although there is a slight difference in Australia and Malaysia, they both score somewhat neutral, meaning it isn't one of the main concern or priority they have as a society. Next, there's masculinity, which refers to a certain preference in society for masculine traits like assertiveness, competitive, or feminine traits. Malaysia and Australia have relatively similar ratings over this criteria, with only a slight preference over masculinity. Hence, masculinity and uncertainty are two dimensions that Australia and Malaysia have closely related values in culture with. The fifth dimension that was added to this framework was the long-term versus short-term orientation, which is society's preference to honor traditions and norms while watching societal changes with a wary eye. Both Australia and Malaysia scored relatively low in this facet, meaning although they exhibit great respect for traditions, they're very much about living in the now and focus on achieving quick results, emphasizing the short-term orientation. Lastly, indulgence and restraint refer to society's gratification of basic and natural human drives to enjoy life and have fun. Australia scores high in indulgence, exhibiting a willingness to realize their impulses and desires with regard to enjoying life and having fun. Tendency towards optimism, while Malaysia is slightly more neutral. However, they still have more emphasis on indulgence rather than restraint. Overall, there's a considerable cultural distance between Malaysia and Australia, with some elements more than others, meaning we require careful considerations on the effect expanding to Malaysia have on the business environment.
Moving on to potential industries, what David Ricardo argues for is for comparative advantage is much more responsible for international trade rather than absolute advantage. In Principles of Political Economy and Taxation, David Ricardo introduced the theory of comparative advantage. He argued that countries should specialize in production of goods in which they not only have an absolute advantage but also a relative advantage over other countries in order to promote benefits of international trade. Malaysia is one of the most developed countries in Southeast Asia, specializes in a variety of industry ranging from primary to secondary products. When looking to trade with other countries, I believe that Malaysia should specialize in their primary products, which are liquefied natural gas, palm oil, petroleum, manufacturers of metal, rubber, wood, and wood products. This is because even though the leading export products are electrical and electronic products, there are other countries such as Japan who has relative and absolute advantage over Malaysia. However, if Malaysia specializes in their primary products, they would have an absolute and relative advantage in international trade. This is because not a lot of countries are rich in primary resources such as palm oil, liquefied natural gas, and many others. Hence, this puts Malaysia at a leading advantage as they would be able to promote benefits of international trade. However, when discussing reviewed comparative advantage, Malaysia still has a strong comparative advantage for the electrical goods and machinery, which contributes to the largest export industry in Malaysia, even though it has been declining in recent years. Furthermore, Malaysia's export strength is gradually shifting from non-resource to resource-based manufactured exports. Using the RCA estimate, it suggests that trade liberalization must not only lower or eliminate tariffs on final products, but also reduce import duties if exports were to increase. The top main export industries are made up of iron ore, coal briquettes, coal, and petroleum gas and wheat. Australia comes in second as the world's largest iron ore producer, coming after China. China is one of the largest importer of iron ore from Australia, as it is claimed that China's continued demand for Australian iron ore will be crucial to achieve the first current account surplus since the 1970s. This promotes the benefits of international trade using David Ricardo's theory that comparative advantage is much more responsible for absolute advantage. In this case, Australia should choose its main export, iron ore and coal briquettes, to specialize in when looking to trade with other countries, as they have an absolute and comparative advantage. In conclusion, Malaysia has been advancing in globalization, and future advances will create an even more globalized and interconnected Malaysia. Malaysia has been a winner as a result of globalization. Although there are other issues, the opportunities of globalization will continue to bring will outweigh the negatives. For economic and human development, Malaysia is ranked 57th in the world, which increased for over almost 30 years with a 24.7% growth. In comparison with Australia, Malaysia still has a lower level of HDI value, which means that Australia might be able to benefit when moving to Malaysia. However, due to a significant cultural distance, Australia should be wary of the cultural clash when going to Malaysia. Lastly, the potential industries that are discussed. Australia will be able to gain a leading advantage when moving to Malaysia. However, it needs to be wary of the similar industries that both share, such as petroleum, gas, and wheat. Thank you for watching our video.